Good evening, Gonzo.
Good evening. Good evening. How are you? How's your tea bagging going there?
Rude. Yeah, it's fine. I've got my tea bag out of my cup now. I'm good to go. But I'm all right, thanks. Yourself?
I'm not bad. I burnt my thumb on a pork chop earlier, but aside from that, I'm fine. It's a lamb chop. Pork chop, lamb chop.
Well, it's different animals. So,
what's a chop between friends?
I don't know. But international break, have you been watching it? UEFA League of Nations kicked off the new competition.
No, I sort of reverted back to my pre-World Cup starts. Not through any animosity. I just didn't get round to watching the England game, and they played Spain, didn't they? They lost 2-1. I think I know that much. And I think Scotland won, didn't you? Against Albania or something?
Yeah, England's playing right now as well, by the way.
Oh, are they? Oh, yeah. There you go. We've probably got 2 viewers. Hello to the pair of you.
No, there's plenty of viewers. They're not watching England.
Wise.
You're playing Switzerland. Come on, Switzerland. Yeah, Scotland beat Albania in their UEFA League of Nations opener, which I'm glad about. We need this. It allows crap countries the chance to get to the Euros. So I'm delighted. Good to see us taking it reasonably seriously. Snodgrass didn't get on, by the way. He was an unused substitute. So he can make the starting 11 for West Ham, but he can't make the team for Scotland. And I've always considered West Ham to be a bit better than Scotland because we can spend £100 million on players. Scotland can't.
I don't think West Ham would beat Albania, mate.
Well, that was the worst team I've seen in a long time. They were worse than West Ham this season. That Albania team, I can assure you, they were awful. But I like UEFA. Do you think it's a good idea that? Actually, my first question should be: have you a clue what UEFA League of Nations is?
A little clue, but not an encyclopedic knowledge of it. I think they had to mix it up. They had to do something to make the fast that was friendly internationals work a little bit better and make it a bit more interesting. I'm sure there will be a different incarnation later on, but this is their first go at it, and you can never have a pop at anyone for trying to make a change for the good. So, yeah, a good idea in principle.
I think it's a really good idea. It gets rid of the friendlies and also allows the crapper nations. There's going to be 2 crapper nations at the Euros because they've qualified through the UEFA League of Nations. There'll be 2 others, but one will be from the top league, who will probably be going anyway, and then one will be from the second league. I really like it. If you can get your head around it, then it makes sense. It's difficult. When I first read about it, I thought this is a bit complicated, all this leagues and groups and stuff, but I get it now. Good idea. But while we've been on the domestic holiday, we've been watching international football. Pellegrini went on an international holiday. What did you make of that?
I didn't care. We had all this, if you remember last season. I think the players might have gone to Miami, I believe it was.
That's different because he took them there as like a training camp. Pellegrini buggered off on his own since he way back to Chile for a few days.
Well, him buggering off on his own might have improved things. You don't know. I don't mind if it works. If maybe he needed to recharge the batteries, as I understand it. His family were in Chile. Apparently, his family never moved to whatever country he's working in. For all the time he has been working in Europe, his wife and his children have lived in Chile. So if what he needed to get over what must have been an absolutely horrific start, he can't have imagined that West Ham the start to his West Ham job would have been like this. What he needed was a week with a missus and the kids in Chile, and it helps. I'm all for it. Of course, in hindsight, if we carry on losing, then he was a naughty boy for going to Chile, wasn't he? But I don't think it'll make an awful lot of difference to us either way.
It doesn't bother me in the slightest whatsoever. I think a manager needs to live and die by his own sword. And if you're going to start telling Pellegrini what he can and can't do with his time, that's when it becomes a bit like too far, in my opinion. You're right, though. It's going to be hindsight. If we lose on Sunday, everybody's going to look at Pellegrini and go, well, you buggered off after 4 defeats. He was only gone for a few days, though. He was back in training on Thursday, so he was only away Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. And I doubt he was just... I'd imagine while he was traveling and stuff, he would have been looking at videos, blah, blah, blah. He would have still been working, if you like, while traveling to and from the countries. So,
I'll tell you what, 10 million a year, I wouldn't be working. I'd be kicking back on that jet. Couple of escorts either side, champers, be looking for, bumming through the yacht brochure. You know, he's got to spend his 10 million, hasn't
he? Not so hot pork chops.
Someone else would be cooking my pork chops. I wouldn't be burning my thumb on them. And they're lamb chops.
But he's back now. They're back in training. But the last week or so, while it's been international week, you'd like to think it's quiet, but not at West Ham. Do you think the media has been a bit targeting us, because I feel like every day there's a new media story, there's a new ex-player, and they're spouting off about us. They've got to talk about something. And they've obviously thought, oh, look at that, West Ham, bottom of the table, played 4, lost 4, spent 100 million, Pellegrini's manager. Usually, if they go fishing, David Sullivan or David Gold bites, usually. So they were probably trying to entice the chairman out a little bit and say, come on then, here you go. Woo. Luckily, our chairman shut them out. Unfortunately, our vice chairman didn't, but the Gold and Sullivan did. But what did you make of the media battle, if you like? Not LLDC, we'll come on to that in a separate topic, but just the whole...
Yeah, okay. Yeah, it's sort of been that way since Carlos Tevez. That was the sort of switching point. We used to be, as people may remember, everybody's favourite second team, if you like, and we became everyone's favourite to watch, if you like, to the villains, and we've been villains since then. And I think ever since that point, the media have gone for us at any and every opportunity, and it's no surprise now, but we do feed them. We do seem to lurch from one crisis to the next, and there's always something to write about West Ham. We're a good club to follow. If you're anyone with any sort of journalistic talent at all, or anyone in journalism or the media, you're going to want to follow West Ham and follow what West Ham are doing, because we're going to muck up, we're going to trip up, we're going to make fools of ourselves, and we do it time and time and time again. Because let's be funny, we're amongst the most poorly run clubs with added bad luck that there is out there, really.
And we've got a big fan base as well, which is important for newspapers. You dangle the name West Ham, people click on it, people go read it. Our fan base kicks off about it on social media, and articles get promoted left, right, and centre all over the shop. I thought Tony Cottee was amusing me, saying that we should have kept David Moyes. He was literally on the official website before the season talking about how good an appointment Pellegrini was. Bloody hell, Tony! You left it 4 games to change your mind completely. But the thing is, just what me and you always say, when we do these videos, we leave a footprint of our opinions. We literally leave a digital footprint of what we think. Tony Collins clearly forgot he does the same. It took him a month to change his mind completely. I just think people like that need to just zip it, really. I think, at the end of the day, you don't mind if you're welcomed in by the club to go sit up with the directors or whatever, you don't mind it then. You don't mind being on the payroll if you come to do ambassador work or whatever. You're on the official website praising the Pellegrini appointment, then you're on TalkSport saying we should have kept Moyes. Which is it? That one really pissed me off, that Cottee one, because I can ignore journalists trying to dangle the bait. But when Tony Cottee pipes up, they say, oh, piss off you. The laughable one, though, was Yarmolenko saying that something West Ham, I think, believe they've overspent on Yarmolenko. Just making stuff up, no quotes whatsoever, nothing. It's literally just someone just made stuff up. The thing is, it worked perfectly because everybody's then retweeting, replying to TalkSport, and bloody hell. But the best media, and I know you've read this because I've seen you commenting on it, the best West Ham media that was out there the last 2 weeks, the H-list is back.
Oh, yeah, he's cracking. He's really good. He's really, really good. He's, as I said, he should be a columnist, really. He hits the nail on the head. He writes ever so well. I wish I had a tenth of his writing talent. He's very good. But I didn't even know until afterwards that actually he writes for 442 as well. Because I felt a bit of a plum because I said to him, oh, you should be a columnist. And he was very gracious, of course. And then I looked afterwards and saw that he wrote for 442, which is a pretty big gig, isn't it? So, yeah, clearly his talents have been spotted. But he hits the nail on the head, and he's got a really nice balance between spotting what's wrong and a bit of humour, a bit of gallows humour as well, a bit of self-deprecating West Ham humour. So I like him. If anybody's not read the H list, it's must-read stuff for all West Ham fans.
This week's one, or last week's one, sorry, after the Wolves defeat, is a must-read, though. I think he has... I think I am guilty of this. I think you are to an extent. I think everybody on this channel is actually, and a lot of our viewers are. We all got sucked into spending 100 million a little bit. We all got a bit optimistic with the summer signings a little bit. We all went, ooh, I like this sign. I like that sign. What the H-list has done is he's just stayed where he is and went, hang on a minute, because I remember what David Sullivan said back at the end of the year. When he reminds you what Sullivan said, it does make you refresh and go, actually, he's right. Like, nothing's changed, really, has it? Where is this new scouts? that we were going to get. Where is this new
the video lab and all that? Yeah, brilliant.
Pellegrini's going to watch every player 5 times. So when did he have time to go from China to the English Championship and watch Ryan Fredericks 5 times? Where's that? This is David Sullivan's pledges. So that column by the H list this week was just.
Do you know what I really like? He wrote the shadow. I think he wrote something like, "We thought we were buying Jack Wilshere, but we bought the shadow of Jack Wilshere," or something. I thought, oh, that's a good one. Wish I'd have thought of that.
He's brilliant, though. I keep talking about him on this channel a lot anyway, but I'll put a link to his latest blog in the description once we finish this video. But it's a must read. They're quite long, but they're worth it. And it's literally like my Monday highlight. Come Monday at lunch at work, I'm looking for that blog, and it's not there. I generally get pissed off. I'm like, all right. I sometimes even message him and say, "Where is it?" And he goes, "Oh, it's tomorrow." I'm like, now I know why people sometimes get pissed off with me and you if we don't do a video, because I'm like that with the H list. I'm like, "Oi, where is that blog?" It's a necessity. It sort of brings out like, it's like stress relief almost reading his blog. Sometimes you do just go, right, okay, brilliant. But his one this week is fantastic. Is there any other media that you've seen that you wish to pick up on before we talk about the big one?
No, well, listen, we're going to get into everything, and if we miss it out, then someone's going to ask it in one of the questions anyway. So let's crack on, mate.
The big one, LLDC versus, I say West Ham, but let's say it's Brady. It's the LLDC versus Karen Brady. And when we did the cup of tea last week in the Moxie, and you said, you didn't think about it, you just said the board have done their job in summer, and I quickly stopped me. You said, no, 2 of them have. And the reason I said 2 of them is because one of them hasn't, and that is Baroness Brady. I still don't think she's done her job. And this week, she's been in the media quite a bit. She did those public letters about the carpet in the honours board. Well, the deadline that Karen Brady gave them is past now. That was yesterday. It's gone. Carpet's not changed. That her calling their bluff did not work whatsoever. In fact, it's backfired because they've then gone ahead and publicly called her out. And basically, you need to apologise here. And it's just embarrassing.
It is embarrassing, but what we're seeing shots being fired across the bows, and this is all foreplay before the main event, and that is yet to play out. And what is at stake in the main event is the ownership of the stadium itself. I don't want to just repeat what I said in the last cup of tea about the mayor's office and the financing of it and what it takes from the public purse. I've said that. That's exactly the same, but they are spending so much on legal stuff, and it's not even coming out of the club. The club's legal expenses end up, because the club keep winning, which means E20, whatever you want to call them, are having to pay our legal expenses. And the fact that a public body are putting away some money from the public purse, I think the latest amount is another 3 or 4 million put aside, it's ridiculous, just so as they can contest stuff through the courts, which really they know they're going to lose. Now, just put right or wrong aside for a second, and I do think that our deal was too good. I think we've stitched them up so much that they literally can't operate. Now, my views on it are clear. I don't think that we were trying to make a fair deal. I think this is all part of the plan, that we stitched them up to such an extent that they hand the keys over, then the club gets sold on. That's the plan. But I tell you what, that itself is very, very risky, because there's nothing to say that strategy will work. And when this is happening, so anyway, so that's what I think of that. But to actually put money aside, and then they brag that they've saved 7 million. So I think they lost 20 million last season, but actually we've lessened that by 7 million. So we saved an additional 7 million on retractable seating. But then to put aside 4 million and then a further 3 million to pay for legal fees, which of course you don't need me to add that up for you, it's just absolute lunacy. And that is just, the whole thing is totally shambolic. And everybody is holding up a clean pair of palms. So Karen Brady is saying, oh, look, it wasn't me. We did this in good faith. E20 are holding up their hands and saying, oh, look, it wasn't us. We've done this in good faith. We're just looking after the public purse, and we just want a venue for all. And Karen Brady's saying, well, we're just looking after our fans. We want to protect the Olympic legacy. They're all sound bites from both. And I don't know how this is going to play out. I guess it can only play out one of 3 ways. Either we get the stadium to own it, either we carry on as tenants in a fractious relationship, or it just becomes such a loss-making venture that the whole thing gets scrapped. And we're homeless at that point, by the way.
I wonder if the LLDC are trying to piss off the fans now and thinking they piss us off enough. They witnessed at the Burnley game, and we get pissed off, we will turn. And they're probably thinking we can get those fans to turn on the board again about the stadium. That'll just cause them grief. They'll have to then deal with the stadium, and that'll put the landlords in the upper hand because they're going to say, well, what do you want? This, that, and the other. Okay, well, here's the bill. Do you want to pay it? No? Okay, we'll continue with the fans. On you go. Off you go. I actually think they're just trying to piss. I've got to the point now, I think they're going to look for any little thing they can do that just irritates fans, whether it's the carpet, whether it's taking away those honours boarding, because they know fine, fans will pick up on it and go, hang on a minute, why is that changed? And they'll keep blaming the club. Every time they do a little change that pisses us off, they say it's the club's fault because they ain't paying us enough money, etc. And the whole thing, the fact it's in the public domain now, is just embarrassing. And the problem is, the public, Joe Public, are on the side of the LLDC here. They don't, because people don't know the whole story, so they just see it as a taxpayer stadium. West Ham are benefiting from it, from the taxpayers' money. So the Joe Public are going to be on the side of the landlords. Nobody is going to be on West Ham's side except West Ham fans. And even West Ham fans, I think, are starting to get a bit pissed off with it all and say, you know, this is just, we're now in our third season and we are discussing the colour of the fucking carpet that goes around the pitch. This is how bad the stadium and the deal is. This is how petty it's got. And you actually fear. There's been so many articles this week, Gonzo. I don't even know if I've read them once, twice, or three times because there's so many things.
Yeah, it gets regurgitated as well.
Yeah, there's something that comes out. Oh, Brady's letter. I think, I read that 2 days ago. Yeah. Oh, wait, there's a new one. Oh, right.
Yeah. I just had the same thing. Yeah.
So I don't know if I've read stuff. I don't know what's going on. It's just there's so much stuff. It's actually beggars belief. And there's so many people, names from the other side of things. I'm trying to learn about Garner and whatever. They could have just changed their staff, haven't they? The assembly's changed and stuff, and it's impossible to keep up with. But it's just, who's gonna? The thing is, though, no one's winning, but it's the fans that are paying for it. We are paying for it. But I'll tell you what, I can see the LLDC's point in some aspects, because we got into the stadium by the club telling mistruths, misleading us a little bit, mistruths. They misled us. They're trying to do the same again here with this LLDC thing, because I noticed how Karen Brady said, they get 6 million in catering revenue. They don't, though. 6 million is what everyone on that island generates in revenue. E20 don't get it. It turns out they make 30 grand a game out of it. And that's what they rent out.
Delaware North get the main bulk of the money.
So for Brady to go, well, you get 6 million catering money, is completely false. They don't get 6 million catering money. 6 million catering money is generated, but that doesn't go to the LLDC. They get 30 grand a match, and that is it. It's not that much. They only make £1 million a year out of it. But Brady's saying you get 6 million. But I'll tell you what, Brady, it's not West Ham that generates 6 million. It's West Ham fans that generate 6 million. And that's a big difference. And that's why when she says, oh, West Ham contribute 10 million when you add it all up. No, you contribute the rent. West Ham fans are contributing the catering money. It's not you. It's not the football club. It's us. We're the ones generating that money.
The thing is, we're football fans, and we are tribal and partisan by nature. That's what we do. But sometimes you've got to take your football spectacles off, and you've got to look at it, because your natural default setting is to go and defend West Ham, defend your club, because that's what you do when you're there. You love the shirt and you sing for the team and so on. So you will naturally line up behind them. But there is fault on all sides here. So when when E20 is saying we are not getting enough money from West Ham, and West Ham are not paying enough rent, they are right. But when West Ham are saying, well, it's absolutely ludicrous that after 2 years they've still not secured naming rights for a stadium of that size, they are right. And there's blame on both sides. And unfortunately, it's hard to pick at the bones of that when there's two parties who are to blame, to actually try and reconcile and come up with something that's right. And all the while this is going on, UK Athletics are probably thinking, what's all this about? Because they often get left out, UK Athletics. They were the first people to put money into this stadium. So we often discount them when we're talking about paying this off. They were the first people to put money into that. They've also lost the one up in Sheffield. The name escapes me. Jessica Ennis's home stadium. that was more or less demolished on the basis that even though Crystal Palace was still being used for athletics, but athletics had a new home, and it was the London Stadium. And the Olympics was a huge rip-roaring success. It was. It's easy. It seems a long time ago now, 2012, but it was a huge success. And there are other people, and then just the whole deal is so complex that to try and pick at the bones and to try and come up with a solution is going to be near on impossible. Maybe the Commonwealth Games will help out from the athletics point of view, but athletics have got as big a stake in that stadium as we have. To date, we have still not paid. West Ham have not paid as much into that stadium as UK athletics have for UK sport and everything at the start. So that you've got to consider that, you know, because if you were UK athletics, you wouldn't be happy with, you know, until they're paid off and they can, you know, whatever, rebuild Crystal Palace, go elsewhere. They've got every right to be in that stadium as well. It's very, very complicated.
Well, not the last of this story, I'm sure, because the Karen Brady's letter has just come out literally an hour before we recorded. If that, I mean, Gonzo haven't completely read it, but there's a new one out. I'm sure there'll be a new one out before we play Everton. There'll be something else out as well. So it's not the last you've heard of this one. But Gonzo, social media, since we played ball, social media has turned on the atmosphere thing again. This always happens when we go on a losing streak. The atmosphere is not good enough. That the fans need to do their part. Blah 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 blah. You've seen it all. And what's your take on this? Because we've not really touched on it that much in terms of the social media aspect of it, but there's a focus on it this last fortnight for whatever reason.
Yeah, I mean, social media can be a great place for a lot of things, getting in touch with people and raising awareness, promoting your video, maybe raising some funds for something, you know, whatever the case may be, having a laugh. But it's also can be quite nasty, social media, and I don't just mean West Ham either. I mean politically, it's a divisive place. You know, don't see that much coming together. So people will even agree on the same thing, but will disagree, and there's just constant clashes. That's what I say, constant clashes on there. Is there a problem with the stadium? Yes, I think that there always will be, and because that's the nature of the stadium that we are in, we know about the distance to the pitch. I think there's a lot of contributing factors. I do think that the atmosphere is not very good. However, the contradiction to that is that we've all been in there sometimes when it has been loud. We know the stadium has the capacity to be loud. So why isn't it loud all the time? Well, you've all got your own answers for that. That has a lot to do with what's on the pitch. From day one, from the ticketing, they really should have. We've been saying this. I mean, we're like scratched records now. We've been saying for a long, long time that the ticketing should have been different. They should be offering reduced rates to away fans and getting them all together. At least you know you've got a singing section. I know there are pockets of singing sections, but get them together. There's a lot of things you could do, and there's a 1% here, 1% there, 1% here, and I just think it all adds to it. The biggest issue in that stadium, aside from all of that, bearing in mind we can generate noise, is the distance the players are from the crowd, and that's my issue of it. It's almost not like a home game for us there. We can't. You know, when you go on an attack and the opposition goalkeeper tips it around a post and the crowd go, come on, and we've got a corner, and that lift, that energy, the noise is in there, but we are not close enough to the action to give our energy to the players to lift them, and I just think the stadium is missing that, and I think that contributes not so much to the atmosphere that us fans here, but I do wonder, we'll never know because we're not football players, I do wonder how much the players here on the pitch.
I think they hear quite a bit to the extent because when we played Everton last home game of the season, last season, when James Collins come on and everybody was singing for Collins and stuff, and the corner that we were in was singing for Collins because he was down that end defending, the ball was up the other end and we were singing for Collins. You could see him quite clearly turn around to the crowd and wave and thank them and stuff. So he could clearly hear, and that wasn't the whole stadium. That was just a corner singing about James Collins. And you could see, and Collins is in the middle of the pitch, and he was acknowledging the crowd, so he can hear it. I think you do need a singing section. I know people say it's a bit plastic in that, but it's quite interesting what's happening at Crystal Palace just now. I don't know if you know that they call them the Homesdale Fanatics. They call them. They have that corner, and they wanted to go into the stand along the side of the pitch, right in the middle, because they wanted to expand. They said there's not more people want to join us. We don't have room. We need in there. And the club basically said, well, we're not shifting those season ticket holders. So they've gone, well, you know what, bugger it. Now, they've still got season tickets. They're just not all together in that corner anymore. And it's interesting now that a lot of other Crystal Palace fans that don't go there in that corner saying, atmosphere's been crap the last two games. You need to get them back in that corner because they are what drives it. They are what
Yeah.
gets everyone else up on their feet in that. Now, I'm not saying I want the club to create a West Ham fanatics corner, but you don't have to name it. I think they almost need to pick up the Bobby Moore lower and move them and put them in the Sir Trevor Brooking lower next to that away end and have, because that corner we go, the lower tier is noisy at times, but the problem is the East stand, and I don't want to call them out because it's not their fault that, but the East stand is where the noise stops, in my opinion. There's a corner in the Sir Trevor Brooking and a corner in the Bobby Moore are singing. There's that great big cop stand right in the middle.
Yeah. I think you're talking about 113 and 114 over there. They're making noise.
And which is fine. But the problem is they're in the middle of the two singing bits. So I think you need to get them together somehow. Because at the other end of the away fans, you've got the 114, which are fine. They're noisy. And I just think you need the whole bit beside the away fans to be noisy. The problem is as soon as you do that, LLDC are going to crap themselves that they've got thousands of West Ham fans standing up next to the away end, giving it to each other. But the problem is they don't understand football banter, if you want to call it that. You can't give it to each other without actually wanting to climb the fence and have a fight. It is possible to slag each other off a bit and have a bit of fun without actually wanting to physically assault someone. But I think LLDC don't think there's a line. They seem to think that if you go piss off, they think, oh my God, there's going to be a full-scale riot here. We need to do something. But the atmosphere is what it is. I'll tell you what, though, it just intrigues me. All these people on social media saying we need to do our bit, we need to do our bit. But I just think if everybody on social media that says that did their bit, it would probably be quite noisy because there seem to be more people telling people to sing than trying to sing.
Well, you know what? I think we're also nervous. You know, I think we try. I think we want to. And I'm talking about the stadium and fans as a whole. I think we want to sing. And then we go in there and we try to, and we sing bubbles, and then, you know, and then whatever, the players do that stupid stuff where they line up and they shake hands, and the Premier League banners come out, and we all bow and pray to the holy Lord that is the Premier League, and like they're a part of it anyway. So they do all their stuff, and they play that music comes on, you know, that bit of music that I'm not going to demonstrate now. And as the players run to their positions, they go from the middle after doing all that stupid stuff. They run to their positions. There's another big roar. Come on, you Irons! Everyone's going, and just before that, they've read out all the things, haven't they? They've read out all the shirt numbers, you know, and all the rest of it. And everyone's ready to go there. And I just think because of the history of the last 3 years, then a nervousness kicks in. We actually do need 2 or 3 games where we play well from the start at home and win. And I think you would see a lot of the atmospheric issues sorted in there. But the team, yes, the fans have got their bits, and you've mentioned stuff, I've mentioned stuff, and they're 1%, 2% here or there. The team needs to do something as well here.
Yeah, I mean, on Sunday against Wolves, for the first 10 minutes where I was, it was good. People were singing, people were determined to get songs going, and it wasn't getting picked up, but there was a pocket that was kept going. But every song got less and less people joining in. And by the 15th minute, everyone was like, bugger it, the football's crap. No one's joining in, bugger it. Let's just stand and have a conversation while we watch the football. And by half-time, everyone was bored to tears. Everyone was like, I don't want to be here anymore. This is crap. I've never left the game early except Brighton. I never leave the first half early either. But see, Wolves, about the 38th minute or something, I went to the bar. I thought, I am so bored. But it's because I was drinking before. I was starting to become on a bit of a downer as well. I was like, I actually need a drink right now.
You're starting to become me.
And come the 30th something minute, I thought, you know what, bugger this. I'm just going to the bar. Then I seen you and I said, did I miss anything? You're like, nah, not really. So I made the right decision. But the thing is, though, I am not the only person like that. I know there's people that leave anyway, regardless of what the score is. They go to the bar anyway. But how many other people like me are sort of getting to the point now that they're just a bit bored by 5-10 minutes ago, and they think, you know what, I'm just going to go to the bar. It sucks the life out of you a bit. Then when you go down for the second half, you're not in the mood to sing anymore because your soul is disappeared. Your enthusiasm is gone. You're just a body. You're a shell. Stand there just like.
Well, the trouble is you make noise when you have fun. And the pure fact of the matter is, particularly at home, I don't really enjoy watching West Ham play football anymore. And I'm sorry, that's quite a big statement, but it is true. I do think a lot of it, I'm going there, I'm wearing the colours, but am I going there to, am I just turning up to drink beer with my mates and then to sing bubbles and hope that something then happens on the pitch? That's the truth. It's not fun. We are. I think I might have even said it in the vlog. We are a hard watch. We are a hard team to watch, regardless of who the manager is. By the way, it's hard. It's hard, and I think we're all sort of trying to grasp for that almost that last season that we had at Upton Park, where it was good to be there. It was good to watch. There was some swashbuckling stuff, and we were travelling to games then, expecting Payet to score a free kick, expecting Antonio to rise high at the back post, watching Lanzini come through. People like Cresswell were still relatively fresh at that point. Chiate was playing really well, of course. Carroll scored some goals in that season. You would actually travel to a game thinking, do you know what, we're going to do a team some damage here. To the point where you get to near the end of the season and we lost 4-1 or whatever it was to Swansea. That was a surprise. We were expecting to win. Last season, no one's surprised to ship 4 goals to Swansea, So I do think the dynamics change and the expectations change. It's almost a different club to follow now.
It's becoming a bit of a chore sometimes. It is, and you do sort of leave at full time thinking, why did I bother a little bit? And you start thinking, like, well, am I a mug? I keep coming every week. I'm a bit of a mug, but you just got to have faith it'll turn. It's just a shame it's not turned from day one, and we've had to go through the continuation of the first 2 seasons already. It's just a bit of a, but we'll get there, I think. Final Score film come out, and you've watched it. What do you think of that?
How long you got? Look, I don't care if that film is good, bad, or indifferent. All right, I don't care. It's not my sort of film. I wouldn't watch that type of film any more than I watch The Expendables or Captain America or any of that other nonsense. Right? It's an action film. It's not for me. It's not what I watch. So, because I got more than between 5 and 10 messages from people once I wrote what I wrote. I wrote an article on hammerschat.com, by the way, and it got a bit of a response. And I got more than 5 or 10 messages from people saying, well, I don't know why you even bothered watching that sort of stuff. What did you expect? Well, that takes the context out of it. I would never watch that type of thing. The reason I watched it because it's set in our old home ground. It was a chance for me, as far as I was concerned, I only speak for myself, to look at the old ground, maybe see some bits and pieces and reminisce and be a little bit nostalgic. And that's why I watched it. I didn't care who saved who and who the baddies were and who the goodies were. I didn't care. I was literally watching it thinking, oh, there's the East Stand. Away fans in the East Stand, by the way. But anyway, let's not nitpick. Oh, look, there's that. Oh, I've been there, and so on and so forth. That's why I watched it, as a last hurrah and the last bit of homage to the stadium. So, but anyway, so the film, you make up your own mind, but that's why I watched it. What then proceeded was something that really made me mad. Really, really made me mad. Again, you've got to look at the context. The context is we were told it was the right thing for us to do to move stadium. Okay, you had almost a good cop and a bad cop with it. Okay, so you had David Sullivan saying, you've got to do it. This is how we make the step forward. We can't compete with these top clubs. If we move stadium, we compete with these top clubs. We will be a top whatever team in 5 years, whatever he said. Then you had the good guy in David Gold saying, I love Upton Park as much as anyone. I used to live over the road and blah, 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 blah. Basically indicating that he cared about the place as much as we did. So with that in mind, the narrative is that we are moving with a heavy heart. And they understand that us fans are moving with a heavy heart. We're going on to better things. The owners understand the love that our fans had for Upton Park and the bowling ground, whatever you want to call it. They understand that there's a memorial garden. Some people got married there. Some people's ashes are scattered there. It's a shrine, and in any other, if it was anything else, they'd be calling it a religion. Literally a place of worship. They're meant to have known that. Now, it was one thing to allow a film crew in there, and I thought it was very, very unedifying to see it blown up. What makes it even worse, bearing in mind the context I've just given it, is that the film company is partly owned by David Sullivan. Because what that does, that renders all that stuff about, we know how much it means, we've got to move to betterment of it, that no longer applies, because actually it's saying, right, now we've got out of there, oh, Sky TV, look, come and jointly do something with my film company. I've got a stadium. We can blow it up. That's CGI. We don't need to do the CGI. Lord of the Rings, all the rest of it. Don't worry. No, we can actually we can literally blow the fucking seats out. We can blow the shit out of the place, right? And it's gonna be magnificent. What's an explosion going to be? They get a bloody WWF wrestler in there, and it was just. And I tell you what, I felt really sad when I saw that, and it just seemed wrong in every level, and it was a complete conflict of interests for him to do that. I thought it was snidey, I thought it was sneaky, and it did not feel right. And I know a lot of people have said, sorry, I'm ranting, I know I am, but a lot of people have said that, look, do you know what, it was going to go anyway. It still didn't feel right. I did not like, the old girl deserved better than that, than to go in that way. And off the back of them charging 50 quid for seats, how hard was it for them to organise? But no, they're just going to blow the shit out of it. Most of those seats got thrown away. You know that as well as I do. Why not just let people arrange a day? If you've got to pay for 100 stewards with high-vis jackets, allow a day of respect where people could go in and take a seat. But don't charge them, you know. And honestly, and I saw an interview with a geezer, the wrestling geezer, and Piers Brosnan, and they were saying how great it was to film it. I don't blame them. They're just filming a film, and they were saying, oh, it was nice being here rather than a trailer, because people were just kicking a ball around, you know what I mean, in between takes. Oh, how lovely. How lovely. You know, I would have loved to have done that. You know, people had given their right arm to kick a ball around on Upton Park, score a goal, take a seat away. And just once again, our fans were, it was nasty, not happy.
Yeah, I've avoided it. I was actually looking forward to watching it. But on paper, it is my kind of film. I like Die Hard now. I know it's not essentially as good as Die Hard, but I thought I'm quite looking forward to this. But when it came to it, I'm not in the mood to watch it whatsoever. I think it's maybe a bit pathetic, but I think it's just because of everything going on. It's because the fact they were crap, the fact that the stadium's a bit crap, the fact that all this thing's going on with LLDC. The last thing I want to see is Upton Park being blown up, to be honest with you. I don't need it. It's almost like twisting the knife in your heart a little bit. It's almost like if you have to go get surgery and get your leg cut off, it's almost like saying, don't sedate me, actually. I'd like to watch it, if you don't mind. I would like to watch my leg getting cut off. And it feels like you'd be doing that a little bit. So I've avoided it completely, which I was strangely looking forward to watching it, but not anymore. I don't think I want to watch it. I don't want to watch the bloody thing getting blown to pieces. And the fact that David Sullivan's, I assume, main money off the back of this is just a slap in the face to all West Ham fans, and West Ham United is a football club as well. It's just him. We all say that this is his little real life football manager. Well, that just proves it. The fact that he sold the stadium and thought, hang on, before I actually hand the keys over, I'm just going to squeeze a few more quid out of this little place here because this is my plaything. I can do what I want, and like you said, bugger everything. I can blow this up. And then what else I'll do is, you know what, I'm going to stick my name on it and take a load of credit for this, actually, because not only am I a porn baron, not only am I a football club owner and a property developer, I am now also a bloody film director or something. I know the Rise of the Craze was a bit shit, but don't worry about it, guys, because I'm taking it one step further here. I'm blowing up a football stadium. I have a terrorist attack in London. It's David Sullivan all over, truth be told. And unfortunately for him, it's the complete wrong timing for this film to come out. Come out when we're bottom of the league, 4 points, no points out of 4 games. The stadium debates coming up, the LLDC things fighting, and then you present West Ham fans with Upton Park getting blown up is the completely wrong time. I know he's not planned for all this to happen, but it just seems so ill-timed, and there's something very West Ham about it, actually. And what's worse, there's something very David Sullivan all about it, and it's just heartless. He is heartless. He's emotionless, and he doesn't give a fuck about West Ham fans. He doesn't. All he cares about is the dollar, the coin, and as long as he's making a few bob out of it, he doesn't mind. It's the other worst thing is, though, seeing the club promote it.
Yeah.
That's what I don't like. They did it with the Rise of the Craze as well. I just think it's wrong. And when David Sullivan's house got robbed, they used the official website to sort of say the owners, which is sort of okay, but at the same time, we had a change in ownership that week. Remember, Trip bought 10% of the club. There was no mention of it whatsoever. You went on West Ham, there's no mention of it. They snuck him in on the bit they had to on the website, but on the news site, David Sullivan's house has been broken into. There's a reward, and the last thing I want to see is, bless her, she's not done anything wrong. She's done a job. That Kelly that does the presenting. last thing I want to see is her with a wrestler at the side of the pitch before the Wolves game, talking about a film and asking him questions about West Ham. It's his first ever West Ham game. Well, obviously, because he doesn't support West Ham, despite the fact he's standing there with a shirt on. It takes a bit more than that to fool me because he was on Soccer AM about a year ago with a Spurs shirt on. We're not stupid. We're football fans. It doesn't make us thick. Take your plastic shit and fuck off completely and leave us be. Stop using the club to promote stuff like this. We don't want it. It's things like that. It's still David Sullivan's plaything, and he's using the club to promote the film that he's making money out of by blowing up Upton Park. It's just so. I don't know. I was quite calm before we did this. I was trying not to make it too negative tonight. There wasn't that much negative stuff, and now it's too negative. Anything you'd like to say before we move on?
No, I would actually just on that, just quickly, because we do every so often. I mean, most people are great, and actually loads and loads of people are great, and we're obviously a forum channel. People talk with us. We got a live chat. We try and interact as much as we can with everyone, and we know all our regular posters are and watchers, and we love them. We love you all. We really do. But occasionally we will get people who come on and say, "You should have said this. You should have said this." Almost telling us what our opinion should be. And I always say, well, there is a site for that. It is the official. If you want watered down stuff, it is. We just give our opinions, and the official site is exactly that. It is a puff piece of what David Sullivan wants you to hear. And do you know what? You can say what you want on there, as long as it's positive. If we've won, it's you might as well have tumbleweed running through it after we've lost. Do you know what I mean? Because you daren't say too much, and that's we just got. So it might have turned out negative, Geo, but we're only just saying things as it is. And unfortunately, that I'll tell you what. Well, we've not spoken about this. Obviously, that last season, Upton Park, we were in there a lot. There was. We knew that there was going to be a film happening. And we were approached a couple of times to, just for extras roles and things like that. Didn't know what the film would be. Thank goodness. Do you know what I mean? God, can't you? Well, obviously we would have been saved, wouldn't we, by the wrestler? Anyway, so everyone would have been fine. But I feel a bit sorry for anyone that was sort of dragged into that. But I'd love to be in a film surrounding, West Ham in their final season, and then find yourself stuck in that. Yeah, not good.
To be fair, there's probably been some fans who were extras who you don't know the circumstances. Maybe they couldn't have afforded a season ticket at the last season at Upton Park. Maybe they didn't get to go at the last season at Upton Park. And then this gave them a chance to go in and say goodbye in their own way, although they're part of a crew, if you like. They would have probably had time to themselves, etc. Something. I hope all the West Ham fans I mean there as extras nicked a seat or something. Or
I hope so.
Worthwhile. I hope they took something out of it.
Yeah.
But I think for people that went, I think they might have enjoyed it. I can see the appeal. But I know what you're saying. Thank God there wasn't us.
Yeah, and I do mean us. I'm not talking about the wider public. Thank goodness you didn't have faces popping up on the screen, because there was no talk about blowing it up at that point. It was, we need a few West Ham fans to sit in amongst the things and pretend you're at a live game. But, crikey, you imagine us going, come on, you IS. I'm
looking forward to final score 2, though. I'm hoping
that's where they put the seats back in.
I don't mind. I'll be an extra for that one. It's fine. I'll be the guy putting the bomb in.
You'll press the button. Yeah.
If you want to go for a Scottish terrorist, I'm willing.
I'll move these seats closer to the pitch. Bang.
I'll do it for free as well. Something? I'll go up to get searched. And I'll take the cap off my Iron Brew bottle and put it in my back pocket. Mate, I've got no cap on. It's fine. They'll go, yep, there you go. So that's how you trick people in here. Put my cap back on and do the search. Away I go. That's how I do it. So they need a Scottish terrorist.
I'll tell you what. Whatever the signals are on GCHQ, they're all pinging now. Someone's doing a terrorism video. YouTube will be closing us down.
Well, final score.
We got a second channel if we get closed down.
Final score 2 at the London Stadium. I am all for that. David Sullivan wants to make a few quid out of that. He's got my approval on that one. West Ham took out 2 loans. It's come out that 2 new loans have been taken out, believed to be 4 million, which is for the Chadwell Heath. And the second one is believed to not be a loan as such. It's sort of like permission to borrow 45 million. You can borrow up to 45 million. Is there to use the funds there, and you get charged interest. how much you borrow, but also if you take out nothing, you're still getting charged. I think it's just 1%.
It's 1%.
So it's not much, but it's all about cash flow. We do it every season, I suppose. It's not to be alarmed about, but just news, isn't it? I try and give everybody the latest news on this. Declan Rice still hasn't decided what country he wants to play for. You supposedly would pick Ireland, but then after watching him get absolutely smashed by Wales, he's probably thinking, not a good idea. Did you see the flag the Irish fans had? I like that. I said, you took our potatoes, but you will not take our rice.
No.
I like it.
I like it.
I'm a fan of humor like that.
Yeah, no, I like that.
Sunday, the supporters club was saved.
Yeah, that's good. That's good news.
We'll move on to questions in a second. So if you've got any questions on the live chat, ban them up. I'm going to start trying to write them all down. Gonzo, any other news or etc. we need to talk about before we move on to questions?
No, I don't think so. That's tickled me about the potatoes and the rice.
I'll quickly do some YouTube live chat ones then because I'm unprepared right now. Parashenko says, guess the attendance for our game against Macclesfield. What do you think on the pricing on that? It says from £10, but I think our tickets are 15.
They're 15. It's already been taken out of my bank. Well, they've told me they're going to take 15 at the bank. What can you do? You can let's just rinse in the whole thing, like you said, with this loan and this working capital and the stadium being blown up. They're just trying to squeeze everything they can out of it, I guess. A little bit high. I guess the tenner would have been fairer, but I haven't said that. The kids one is a £5, which is having said that, if they want to fill that up, they should have done that with kids for 50p or £1 if they wanted to fill that place up. But attendance 31,000.
I think they should have made it cheaper. I think it should have been kids for £1. I think adults should have been 10, 15 quid at the max, even for the band one season. I think they should have just tried to fill the stadium because I'm going to say 28,000 and that's going to be 30,000 empty seats. I think they should have just made it as cheap as they could and just fill the bloody place because, well, there's all this talk of atmosphere. It's not going to help the atmosphere if the stadium's only half full because of the pricing of the tickets. And it's not just the cup game. It's in the middle of Chelsea at home and Man United at home. The Sunday game and the Saturday game is right in the middle of the two. So there's 3 games in the space of 7 days at the London Stadium. It's not feasible for a lot of fans to attend all 3 games. So what are they going to miss? The cup game, obviously. So I just think it was silly not to make it cheap. I'd imagine Newham Council will be getting a load of their freebies as per the quota. They'll be like, here, 10,000 freebies for that one. Daz says, do you get any feeling when you walk into the London Stadium? He doesn't get any. At Upton Park, the hairs would stand up on the back of his neck as soon as he saw the pitch for over 40 years.
I do, Daz, but it's usually a feeling in my bladder because I've normally nicked a beer on the boat and it's quite a long walk. So I know it's normally just to go into there. It's not that same thing, although I do like it. I actually, I've done what it's easy to. Actually, I do quite like walking up the steps and walking into the stadium as it opens out. There's still. They've not lost everything. There is still a West Hamness about it. And the stadium it's just not right for football. The stadium is impressive. When you walk out to it, it's huge. It's massive. It's quite impressive. Everyone is singing at that point. It's not the same. It's nowhere near the same. But I do get something.
It isn't the same though, but it feels like I still feels like I'm going to a neutral venue in a way. Do you know what I mean? It just feels like I'm going for the football, but I know what Daz is trying to say. There is a bit. It's almost too clean in a way. It's almost too modern. It's too. You almost feel like you don't belong there because it's too nice. I'm not saying I want to be standing piss when I'm having a piss, but it's just a little bit too much too soon. But then again, if we were winning, would we complain? Probably not. Gary Page says, is Mark Noble the right person to be the captain?
I think he has to at the moment, Gary. Hello, mate, by the way. I think he has to. I think we're lacking in leadership. There's no choices. We need leadership. And as he's the first person you look to, surely.
A lot of people on YouTube Live are asking questions about Sunday's game. We're not going to answer them because we've got our preview on Thursday night. Myself, Gonzo, and a guest will be there on Thursday talking about the game. So we'll save all the questions for that. Tom Carter says, do you think we will buy the stadium? And what do you think we will do to it?
Tom, I think we will. I've said all along that I don't think that stadium will stay in its current form. I think I said as soon as we moved in there, this stadium won't be like this in 15, 20 years' time. And I stand by that. I think we'll do anything to it, but I think whoever buys it, the plan is for someone else to buy it. And I think if someone does buy us and they're a billionaire, then they'll probably knock it down and they'll probably sort of start again or keep some of the structure and do something with it. But I'll tell you something, it's all on the proviso that we are a Premier League team. I think we get relegated and the whole plan, the whole thing comes tumbling down. Not just for us, but all that stuff we discussed at the start of the show with the stadium. Crikey, the stadium think they're making a loss now. Just wait until we get into the Championship if that were to happen.
I think we will get it eventually. I don't think there'll be any changes structurally. I think there'll be lots of changes cosmetically, though. I think it will become more clarable. I think they'll spend as much money as they can on seating to change the colours of the seats, but I don't think they'll be able to change the way they're set up. It'll just, instead of becoming retractable, it'll just be a permanent fixture, and it's going to remain the same as what it is, I think. They can't make money out of it. If they move the seats forward, they won't make any more money, so the board won't do it. The board don't have enough money to do it either, because I don't want to know. I don't know how much it's going to cost, but it costs about 100 million, I'd imagine, at least, to change the seating to get it right into the close, because there's so much problems with the layout, what's under the pitch, etc. You almost need to turn the pitch round, I think, and try and build the stands in from the side or something. I don't know, but I don't think they'll do anything structurally, but loads of cosmetic changes. I think the place will look a lot different on the outside as well as the inside. But the problem is they've still got to deal with half our problems, or not half, some of the things the club want to do would remain the same, i.e. the park landlord will say, no, you're not putting flags up in the middle of the park, keep it in your stadium and stuff. And that's what West Ham are trying to do. They're trying to change the name of a bridge. They still won't be able to change the name of the bridge even if they own the stadium, because the park owners will say, no, that bridge is staying what it is, etc. So I think they'll get to change a lot in the stadium, but outside I still think they'll be restrained a little bit, which is not ideal. Bill Kent says, do you think we should have spent more money on proven Premier League players?
Yes, but it is hindsight. Again, we're accountable for what we say. We said it earlier. We're quite we called who we thought would do well and who would flop. So yeah, in hindsight, I think we probably should have done. I think maybe another manager might well have done. It's hard to say. It's very, very hard to say now, though. And we're just in a nasty situation. The players we've got are going to have to get us out of it. But I thought Wilshere was a proven Premier League player in that sense. I guess Diop and Balbuena weren't, but they look like they might be all right. I don't think proven Premier League player is everything. As we saw when Payet come in, I just we got a hope. I'll tell you something. What I will say about these players now, we are now going to see the content of these players' characters. They will not. They'll be aware of the criticism. They'll be aware they're bottom of the league. West Ham are the worst team in the league at the moment. The points say it. The players will have had a couple of weeks off to look at themselves and to train. And if they come back with another limp-wristed performance, then we are going to know all we need to know about those players.
I don't think we should have bought more Premier League proven players. I don't think so. I think the balance was right, actually. I think we brought in some domestic players and some proven foreign players, Yarmolenko and Anderson, and we've brought in some unproven foreign players that could go on and become big players, Diop and Balbuena, for example. I think our balance was right, and I think I was happy with the transfer window. I still am. I think the balance was good. Going Perspective says, is this the most disappointing start to a season?
Oh, I don't know. I've seen a lot of disappointing
in my lifetime. It is. In my lifetime, I have to say it is, because of expectation. You had the manager, you've got the players. We've lost 4 out of 4. How could it not be the most disappointing one? The only other one is Avram Grant, but the signs were there before Avram. If you like, the squad wasn't that great under Avram. We've got a good squad now.
I thought, yeah. I mean, I was quite disappointed last season as well. I've got to say, I don't think they'd find that an awful lot better. I've got to say though, this season, I am worried. It's not as more disappointed. I'm more worried because the other Premier League teams seem better this season. It's a bad season to get things wrong in the Premier League, because you watch Match of the Day and most of those other teams can play football. So this is not this is not a good time to start with a huge points deficit that you're going to have to claw back.
Moving on to the Twitter questions. We love you. West Ham says, if you had to marry one of the current West Ham United players, who would it be and why?
Ladies team.
Well, no, just I think he means the males. It's a fun question.
Oh, right. Well, Andy Carroll's got a girl's name, hasn't he? So, and again, to be fair, I guess he would, because I don't really want to marry a man. If you're allowed to say that, are you legally allowed to say that now? I might probably be up for a hate crime or something, but I wouldn't want to marry a man, so he'd probably break down on the way to the church anyway, so I probably wouldn't have to marry him. And he's got a girl's name, so we'll go with Andy Carroll.
It's a pity he's not here anymore, because I would say check Yachty, because he always goes missing, so I'd get peace and quiet. He'd be gone. I wouldn't know where he is. He'd be away somewhere. And he's always smiling, I suppose. ForeverBowling.com. There's a lot of people asking this question. How long's Pellegrini got? How many games? If we lose on Sunday against Everton, with them got Man U and Chelsea's the next 2 games, not in that order, the other way around.
I think if he lost those 3 games that you mentioned, I still reckon the board will give him 1 more game after that, which would be Brighton, right?
Yeah, Brighton away. And that for you,
I think he loses that, he is gone. Because of course, since we've done, I mean, we've now learned, or the rumor is that actually it wouldn't cost 30-40 million. We've said a lot of time it cost 30-40 million to pay him off. That was my reason. That's what I thought to be the truth. Apparently, it would cost 8 million to pay him off. So that changes things. Having said that, they've never shown a great desire to pay people off, even when they've only got $1 million left on their contract. But yeah, I think he lose to Brighton, and we've gone all those games without any points. I think they would, but I would almost think that would be too late. I just don't think whoever would come in, you're clawing that back.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know if he's meaning how long till the board do or how long till the fans want him. And I think for the board, I think your Brighton one's probably quite. I think the Man U game. I think if we got beat by Everton, Chelsea, Man U, I think the Man U games when they will probably think we've got to pull the trigger here, because Brighton away is a fixture that's possibly right for the next man to come in for. It's away from the London Stadium. You're away from home. It's a side that you might get something at, etc. Go ahead and see what you can do at that one. Because who do we play after Brighton?
Leicester, is it?
Possibly. Might very well be. I'm not 100% sure. But I think the Man U want to be the one to pull figure. For me as a fan, I don't know, Gonzo. I want to give him the whole season. I want to just ignore it. It's very naive. I almost want to ignore results and just give him the whole season and just hope that he turns it around. I think he will. I'm confident he will. George Lewis 97. This is an interesting question. If we're in another relegation battle this season, is it fair to say that we are the next Villa, Sunderland, Wigan, etc., and relegation eventually is inevitable?
Yeah, I think he's not the first person to say it. There's a lot of parallels there. You see these crisis clubs have just managed to avoid it, then managed to avoid it, then managed to avoid it. And you look at us and look at what's happening with the team. Look at our start to last season. Look at our start to this season. We don't own our own stadium. We've just mortgaged one of our training grounds. The other training ground needs a lot of work done to it. We've got a high interest overdraft. Almost everything about it, we have got players that on wages that only really top clubs have. But there's no way, you've got players like Chicharito and things like that going down into the Championship. Yeah, I mean, I said this in a cup of tea that we did at the Moxie. We are not far off being a crisis club. We are on a knife edge. We are on a knife edge, and cue the get a grip stuff and all the rest of it that people say. But we are on a knife edge. But, it could go either way. But yeah, I can see that. I can see the parallels. I understand that.
It's very fragile. It is very fragile. It's like we are in a pressure cooker environment right now. And Pellegrini needs to turn the bloody cooker off quick, otherwise it is going to boil over and the lid is going to come off, and it's not going to be a nice place because fans are panicking already. And if we lose 1-2 more games, it's not going to be a nice. It's not going to be a nice. These shows are going to be very difficult to do. But I can see what George is saying there, because every season, as a neutral, you look at the Premier League and you think they've just avoided relegation for a couple of seasons. They've just avoided relegation for a couple of seasons. And it used to be Swansea, West Brom, and Stoke. They are all gone. Villa, Sunderland, those sides, you could see relegation on the horizon. It was a case of what season are you going to go down? Not if. You're going down in the next 3-4 years. When is it? And if you weren't a West Ham fan, you'd be forgiven for looking at West Ham going, you're the team that's going next. And you'd probably look at maybe Watford. I know they've had an amazing start, but you would have been looking at Watford probably going, you're also potentially getting relegated soon. And this is the trouble. So I can see his point there, actually. At Claret Big Blue says, if Sky brought back the Masters, name your West Ham side.
Oh, crikey. Well, Tony Cotty's dead, so it can't be him. I don't know how Canio would be in it. And actually, do you know what? Do you remember when West Ham had Stuart Pearce, Razor Ruddock, John Hartson? They had Andy and Wright, who wasn't a big guy, but he was still a nutter. We had a team of absolute thugs. I'd have a bit of that. I'd get a bit of Mad Dog back in there as well. Do you know what? Never mind all this tippy-tappy, pussy-footed around. Yeah. A bit of Psycho, bit of Dix, bit of Terminator, bit of Razor. Yeah, that's what I'd do.
I do that.
Hooligans.
I'd be approaching our golden generation pretty quick. Rio, Lampard. Well, I know Lampard's got a job now, but Rio, Lampard, Joe Cole, Carrick. Carrick. Is he retired yet? I know he's assistant.
Yeah, he is. Yeah.
Those players, I'd be saying, we want you to come play for us before anyone comes and snaps you along. You're the one we want here. James Collins will be retired soon, perhaps. By the time Masters come in, he might be kicking about. Carlton Cole up front, yeah, get him in just for the comedy value, if anything. But they need to bring Masters back. I used to love watching Masters football.
It was good. I don't think, could we get a game at all now? No, it was not part of the film we never played for him. Well, I might get a game in 6-a-side. The old Twinkle Toes do the talking, you know.
Oh, Jesus. Master, it would not be called Masters, that's for sure.
Apprentices, yeah.
Jamie's just complaining about seeing Upton Park getting blown up on adverts on Sky.
Yeah, not wrong.
Insurance number. He asked about 10 questions this week, but I'm not going to read them all out. You're not getting that much airtime. Insurance number. This first one is a bit of a dig at me, actually. He says, Declan Rice's dilemma got me thinking, would I switch to England if I was eligible? The answer is no, get fucked.
Really?
What do you think I would?
I mean, that's a great question. Listen,
I said this to him. I said, are you being serious? He said, yeah, but I don't understand why it's like a question.
Well, it's you. It's not you if you're a professional footballer. So at the moment, I say at the moment, like it's going to change in a couple of years. At the moment, I am not good enough to play for England or West Ham or anyone else. But you know, sometimes these islands, I think if you get 50 people, you're a nation. But if for whatever reason Andorra getting called in, and they said, you know, Gonzo, we're desperate for a sort of chubby little hairy right winger for the game up against Brazil, would you become Andorra? And I say, yeah, fucking right. You know, I don't English anymore. I'm Andorran, Faroe Islands, whatever. I'm up for hire. I'd represent anyone.
Yeah, but he was asking about me turning English, basically. That's not happening.
I think
people tried it during the World Cup. People tried to get me to switch my allegiance to England during the World Cup. It wasn't happening then. It's not going to happen now.
Would you do it for £1?
No.
Would you do it for £1 billion?
Fuck off. No.
Oh, come along.
I'll do anything for £1 billion.
There you go. So we know your price is somewhere between £1 and £1 billion. You're up for hire, mate. You're a mercenary. You've got no allegiance to Scotland.
There's nothing you could ask me that I would say no to for £1 billion.
I know. I'm the same.
I am basically the Scottish David Sullivan. Yeah. I know. Yeah. There's no limits. I'll blow up my own fucking house for £1 billion.
Of course you would, mate. Of course you would.
Dylan Ham says, do you think that part of the reason players are not performing and playing with visual hesitation is linked to the fan base not getting behind them, or is it simply a case of the fans not getting behind a team that they feel isn't playing for the badge? See, this is interesting because before, years and years ago, the fans used to inspire the players, but today in 2018, the players must inspire the fans, in my opinion. It's switched. I'm not saying it's right. I think it's switched now.
Yeah, there's this old, not a lot, an old wives' tale. When people talk about the chicken run, And I mean before they built that West Stand, that Dr. Martin's West Stand, when the Upton Park was like Upton Park, it was really close to the pitch. So, you know, up until the point where we moved, the chicken run wasn't that close to the pitch. It was actually about 6 meters away. But it used to be right there. And basically, the old stories are that, you know, as a wingers didn't used to like playing there because the crowd would really get on their back. That was true. But also, we would also be there to motivate our own players as well. And you couldn't have, there was no slack in there. If you were, you know, because you were accountable to the crowd, I think there's a lot in that as well. I think you can vanish. I think there's enough distance between the crowd. I know what you said about James Collins and when everyone was cheering, but I think when things are going poorly, there is enough distance between the West Ham crowd and the West Ham players for them to go into their shells. And whilst they might hear a lot of the crowd shouting up, yes, they're not going to hear individual calls at them. And that's the difference when the ground is close. You go to take a corner, you go to do this, that, and the other, or you're just running up and down the wing, and you can hear one person shouting, "Hey, come on, you know, pull your socks up," and all, you know, all that's. I think that's got a lot to do with it. I really do.
They can't hear a collective groan, though.
They can.
It happens a lot these days, and just in football, not just at West Ham, in football in general. If a misplaced pass happens, there is a collective. Oh.
There is. But if you do something wrong before, you're thinking, "Crikey, I've got to run past that geezer again." That geezer that keeps hanging over the hoardings and having a go, they can almost touch me. And you think, all right, okay. No, I just think there's something in that. I do.
I agree with that. I do think there is like an intimidating, there's almost like a fear factor in your own players, if you like. I think that fear factor's gone. I think they get off with it too easy because once the game's finished, Upton Park, once the game is finished, you had to go in the car park where fans could literally be up against your car was there. Fans were there looking at you, going, "Oh, you!" At the stadium, it's none of that. They get on their cars or whatever, and they go out a road that, to be honest with you, I don't even know where the
I don't. But it also worked the other way as well, Geo. It works the other way. The away players used to have to go, you know, they park the coach right near the thing, but they would be the railings there and they would see the home fans as well. Now the away coach just goes into this private car park, or, you know, and the away players don't have to go anywhere near the West Ham fans during the whole day, and that includes on the pitch or in the drive-in, and that can't be good. It's not an intimidating place for an opposition team to play.
It's an intimidating for our team to play. They're scared to play there. It's a playground for opponents to come to. They probably like coming to London Stadium. They'll probably be saying to their players, you know, keep them quiet for 10 minutes. That fans will turn off like that. They won't be interested anymore. Don't worry about that home crowd. But the problem is, if they score early, they'll raise their game. But just keep West Ham quiet for 10 minutes, and you'll keep the stands quiet. You score early, that stands are getting noisy, but for us, I'm telling you something, Burnley loved it. Burnley loved playing us when all that shit was going on. That's why it went from 1-0 to 3-0 pretty quick. They loved it. Our players lost their heads. It was a one-off situation, but it does make you think. But what I was saying about the home players is, if you have a crap game for West Ham, you had to go in the car park and get in your car, and you could hear fans, "Oh, you fuck off," you blah, blah, blah. Nowadays, there's none of that. They're so protected that they don't have to deal with it. They get in the car and drive off, pick up their 50, 60, 70 grand a week or whatever. There's no accountability anymore for professional footballers, especially at West Ham. The accountability is gone. There was a comedian, who's the bald guy, pub landlord, what's his name?
Oh, Al Murray.
He said, years ago, Britain's got no shame anymore. It used to be shame. The shame has disappeared. And I think that is almost what's missing from the players at the minute. If they put in a bad performance, there's no shame about it. They just walk off the pitch. Oh, so be it. You know, bugger it. I'm off home. But you almost need that tail between legs, head down moment where they think, "I've buggered up here a little bit. I need to do something about this." But that's gone. And I think that's what's missing from football these days. The last question is from Scotty D_WHUFC. Scott says, "Now that we have seen the first 4 games of the season, what is your predicted points tally for the end of the season?"
Oh, don't do it to me.
Oh, yeah. Come on. This is where it gets interesting. 34 games left to go. So what's that? 102 points on offer.
32.
Bloody hell. Do you think we could get relegated? That's relegation points.
Do I think we can get relegated? Yes.
Right this very second, you think we're getting relegated?
I don't think we're getting relegated. I think we can get relegated. Listen,
32
is
points is
that Scotty D? Is that Dale? Is that Scott Dale? Is that you know? Is that do we know? Is that the man I was drinking beer with on the boat? Who's if it is, he's watching this in his shed. I'll tell you that now. He's in his shed watching this. He's another Nigel Khan, if you know what I mean. So listen, I didn't expect that question. So forget the maths and 32. I'm aware 32 points doesn't keep us safe. By the way, do I think it's a possibility we get relegated? Yes, absolutely yes. Excuse the maths. I might be wrong on the amount of points, but I think there's a real possibility we can get relegated. I'm struggling to see 3 worse teams.
Will we get relegated?
Oh, I don't know, Gio. I don't know. I think it's a real possibility. Who can say with any certainty? It's not. I don't want to nail me colours to the mast because I think there's a lot depending on it. Do we keep the manager? Does a new manager come in? Can he sort out the midfield? So many? I don't know. I'll tell you what. I think it's really hard, particularly when we're at war with our landlord and all that other stuff is going on. There's so much crisis around the club. There really is. Bulldozers run at the training grounds as well. It's tough. Is Andy Carroll going to come back and rescue us?
I don't think we'll go down. I'm not going to worry about relegation until Christmas time. Christmas time is my barometer, if you like, for who's going down and who's not. It's hard to say there's 3 worse teams than us because we have 0 points, but I can see teams I think are going to struggle this year. I think Huddersfield are going to struggle this season, for example. I think they're one side that are looking. I think Newcastle could be the surprise team to struggle. I think they're going to be, people expect them to stay up because of Rafa. I'm not even convinced Rafa's going to be here after Christmas, but I think they'll be, even with Rafa, I think they could be the surprise side to struggle. There's a bit about Newcastle. When I've seen them a couple of times this season, I do think they're not as fluent as they should be under. That's not a Benitez team I'm seeing there. I do think it's.
Here's my problem, Gio. Right, here's my problem. Right, so let's just have a look. West Ham fixtures. Right. Just looking at this, and I know this is a little bit unorthodox. We don't normally do this, but you know what? I'm on my laptop, so why not? Here's the thing. Everton. Now, Everton is the pivotal game, not just because it's the next game, but because they've got some injuries, and we're going to talk about that tomorrow. But win against Everton,
Thursday.
And things look a little bit different. There's you can be a little bit. Crikey, it's just flicked up. I've got FC Domsale on there. But let's say we don't. Let's say we lose to Everton. Then is it really beyond the realms of possibility that we do lose to Chelsea, we do lose to Man United? I then think Brighton becomes a very, very hard game. After Brighton, we didn't know earlier, it's Tottenham. Then it's Leicester, who look really good. You're then looking at Burnley on the 3rd. Oh, of course, you tweeted it out earlier. On the 3rd of November. Then Huddersfield. And frankly, that might be our best little month there. You've got Burnley, Huddersfield, Man City, Newcastle. We could be going a very long time without winning a game. So that's why it's possible.
Yeah, of course it's possible. But I just don't think we will. I think we've got a good team. I think we've got a good manager. At the end of the day, we were literally, 60 seconds away from drawing against Wolves. Now, wow, it wasn't the greatest result in the world. We wouldn't be sitting here talking about no points, pointless, bottom, with played poor, lost poor. We were 90 seconds away from that not happening, if you like. The Arsenal result was harsh on us. There was a freak own goal which led to us getting beat, etc. Now, I'm not saying there's loads of positives, but this isn't. I am not seeing a side that smacks of relegation right now. Sometimes you see very early on in seasons, you look at. Quite often, Swansea was the team I was looking at last season. Every time I watched them, I thought, there's no way you're staying up. It just smells of relegation from a mile away. I am not seeing that at West Ham this season, despite the fact that we've lost 4. There's not something, I don't look at that and think, oh my God, this is going to be horrendous. We have good players. We have a good manager. It just needs to come together. And I think it will. I'm quite confident it will. Listen, if we get 4 points out of the next 3 games, I'm not going to say we'll stop worrying about relegation, but we'll probably be outside the bottom 3, looking ahead to Brighton away, looking ahead to playing Huddersfield and Leicester. And all of a sudden, if we win against Everton, all of a sudden, Chelsea and Man U become beatable.
I totally agree. And I'm totally with you on that. But I also think that door swings both ways. And I think if we lose against Everton, then Man U and Chelsea are not beatable. And I do. That's what I say. I think it's on a knife edge. And I think we're really we're really close to knowing what's going to happen. And I hope the manager's a good manager. I really do. I know we do have some good players. I hope he can find a combination of them and find his team quickly, and a combination of them that works. I really do.
If we somehow do, even if we just struggle this season, I'll tell you what I'm going to blame. No defensive midfielder. Doing it on the cheap by getting Carlos Sanchez in. The amount of points a lack of defensive midfielder cost us last season, and we never looked at it in the summer. We spent £40 million on a player. He could be fantastic, but unless he's going to outscore the mistakes the defensive midfielder concedes us, or a lack of defensive midfielder, because that's what he's going to have to do. He's going to have to carry the fact that, say we lose 5 points for not having a defensive midfielder, he has to win 5 points on his own, plus some, to justify spending 40 million. It's unfair on Anderson, but that's the situation we're in, because whether it was Sullivan or Pellegrini or both, which, by the way, quickly, I noticed Karen Brady's article in The Sun, and she said that they got all the players the manager wanted. Oh, bloody hell, 4 games in it. It's taken you 4 games
yeah.
this on the manager.
Yeah.
Bilic got it, Morris got it. It's taken 4 games.
Yeah.
It wasn't Sullivan this time. It's taken 4 games for Karen Brady to stick all the signings. Bollocks. Go back to the H-list column. Are you telling me Pellegrini chose Ryan Fredericks? Are you telling me Pellegrini chose Fabianski? Rubbish. He probably chose Balbuena and Anderson, maybe Perez and Sanchez. But are you telling me he chose them all? Not a chance. None of us are falling for it, but we'll have to wait and see. But anyway, Gonzo, is there anything else you'd like to add before me and you disappear?
No, we have said lots.
We have said plenty. So is Karen Brady. So is the LLDC, unfortunately. And we can all read about it. That is the problem. But if you've got 5 minutes, go check out the H-list work from after the Wolves game, and look forward to his one on Monday, hopefully after 3 points. We have a video up on Wednesday night, which I speak to an Everton fan and get his opinion. Quite interesting. He rates one of our players, not someone I was expecting him to say. And on Thursday night, myself, Gonzo, and one other West Ham fan will be here to discuss that big game against Everton on Sunday, what we think Pellegrini should do, what we think Pellegrini shouldn't do, and if we're expecting the rot to continue, or for us to pick up our first points of the season. But Gonzo, say goodbye.
Goodbye.
It's goodbye from me as well. Drop a like if you've enjoyed it. Subscribe if you're new around here. We will catch you very, very soon.